Locho sambo pagyo trashi pa tuche tempe tinle yarngoda pelge drolor zampe tse parche palde lame shabla solvade Omo a guru vajra dara suma timo nisha sane kar Uta varda nyeshri badra varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om Dara suma timo nisha sane karma Uta varda nyeshri badra varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om Guru Vajra dar suma timo nisha sane karma Uta varda nyeshri badra varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om Guru Vajra dar suma timo nisha sane karma Uta varda nyeshri badra varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om Guru Vajra dar suma timo nisha sane karma Uta varda nyeshri badra varsa manya sarva siddhi Pakyuke kudan dagi lo, pakyuke sundan dagi nga, pakyuke tukdan dagi yi, tuen yerme chiktu jingi lo. Makyuke kudan dagi lo, makyuke sundan dagi nga, makyuke tukdan dagi yi, tuen yerme chiktu jingi lo. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakya Munye Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakya Munye Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakya Munye Swaha Sangye Chedan Soge Chanam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Give Sonamgi Drola Pinchra Sangye Druparasho Sangye Chedan Tsogi Chonamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonamgi Trola Pinchre Sangye Druparasho Sangye Chedan Tsogi Chonam Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchre Sangye Druparasho. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, yesterday we started seeing the prayer in Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment through the practice of generosity and the other perfections. May I reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. And one thing which I like very much is when we can see that like one simple prayer as this, which is just 4 lines, we can explain it in a short and simple way, or it can take like months. We can stay like not months, but sure 1 month, no doubt. We can just stay around to understand it and to explain it, and we can stay around it for a long, long time also. So it is very nice to see in this way, but still we need to try to fix it in a way so that in these 4 days we are able to conclude it. So yesterday we were looking the first part, which is the part of in Buddha, and then we took the whole morning just to explain what is a Buddha. So, which is very important because we are here to become Buddhas. That's our main goal. So we need to understand what is a Buddha first of all. No? I'm not going to repeat what we said yesterday, but making it very simple, making it condensed. A Buddha is anyone that has eliminated completely all defilements and has developed to the maximum potential one's own qualities. One important thing to understand when we talk about a Buddha is not someone that is disconnected from the sentient being, in the sense like one day we will become Buddhas, hopefully. In the same way that now we can remember what we did in the past and how we were in the past. Like if we think from now 20 years back, we say, when I looked myself backwards 20 years ago, was I the same or I am different from now? My mind, my body were different. But was it still me? Yes. So similar to that, when a Buddha looked backwards, said, oh yes, you look, there I was in Albagnano receiving teachings and doing practice, like looks back and it's always me, but differently. So it's important for us to understand that the Buddha is connected with us. It's like it's the same continuity. It's not something that is completely separated, completely different. So today we need to see the part of the Dharma and the Sangha and the concept of taking refuge. So I'm not going to do many introductions because otherwise we make it very long and we have quite a lot to see today. So we go directly to the point. So, yesterday we saw the meaning of Buddha. Today we start now with Dharma. The word Dharma has different meanings. It's in Tibetan, it's said Che. And it can be used in different contexts with different meanings. So for example, when we have the mantra of interdependence, Om Ye Dharma, Hetyum Prabhava, Hetyum Teshan Tatagati Yavadata. The word Om Ye Dharma, Om Chanam Tamche. Ye Dharma in this case, it refers to phenomenon. All phenomena depend on cause and conditions. Om Ye Dharma, Hetyum Prabhava. The Dharma in this case is not referring to the spiritual path or the teachings. It's referring to phenomena, generally speaking. In some cases, the word Dharma, it means truth. Okay? But the one thing in Tibetan, I don't know in Sanskrit because I've never studied Sanskrit, but in Tibetan, the words can change meaning very drastically according to the context in which they are. So the word Dharma can mean spirituality, generally speaking. For example, in the time of Buddha, his teachings were never called Buddhism. The isms is something that we have, is Western, is modern way from our Western society where we give the name Buddhism. The original name for Buddhism was the Buddha Dharma. The Dharma, the spiritual teachings, the spirituality of Buddha. In the old times, Christianity will be called the Jesu Dharma, or Jesus Dharma, the Dharma of Jesus, which means like the spiritual teachings of that master. There were like different important masters in India at the time of Buddha and later, and they had their own dharmas, which were taught. And there was the name of the master, and after came the word Dharma. No? So the Buddha Dharma is the spiritual teachings, the spiritual path, such as the spirituality, just as explained by Buddha. That's the original name of Buddhism, actually. So when we want to have like the more correct name of Buddhism is the Buddha Dharma. So the word Dharma, it means also spirituality. It's the basis of, and the beautiful thing of that is that when we think about Dharma as a spirituality, it means it goes beyond being Buddhist or not being Buddhist. Dharma is beyond that. You have the Dharma, Then you have the Buddha Dharma, the Jesus Dharma, the this Dharma, that Dharma. You have many different teachings within it. But the Dharma itself is the spiritual path, is the spirituality. So normally we divide if something is spiritual or it's not spiritual. We call Choda Chomaimba in Tibetan, which means if it's spiritual or not. Then inside spiritual, then we have the different religions and the different spiritual traditions and so on and so on. So Dharma, first of all, it's not necessarily Buddhist. It's the spiritual path as a whole. So, in this context, what do we mean specifically by Dharma? Let's try to understand it better through metaphors. We have two metaphors that can explain better the meaning of Dharma. One is when we say that, let's say I want to follow a path. I want to go walking from here up to Bodh Gaya. Okay, I think it's possible, maybe a few months, 1 year, I don't know how long it should take. But I want to go walking from here to Bodh Gaya. So I go there, I want to make my plan. But then I need someone that teaches me how to do it. So there is someone that have one or more people that have already walked from here to Bodh Gaya. They know exactly the path. They had the experience. So they can teach me and they can say, oh, look, you need to go through here. They take a map and they give me instructions in which they show, oh, you go through this mountain and then from there you will see that valley, and in that place you need to be careful because of this and that, and you turn right and you go this way and you go that way. And they give me all the instructions. So the one that is guiding me is like the Buddha, like the Guru, is the one that is showing me the path out of his own experience. Then he gives me a manual, he gives me precise instructions of what I should do, what I shouldn't do, which is giving me a very precise map of where I should go, how I should go through it, and so on. The map is not the actual path. It's fundamental to have the map and to have the instructions, but only by having the map and by having the instructions, I'm not going anywhere. Then I need to start walking. In the moment that I start truly following the instructions and I start walking, that's when my path have actually started. So the actual path is when we walk by using the instructions. So the instructions are fundamental for the path, but a path is only happening when actually I'm walking. The actual path is the process of walking. If we do another metaphor, for example, process of healing. I go to the doctor. The doctor is the one that is giving me the prescription and making a diagnosis and giving me the prescription. The doctor is the one that is telling me, look, you have this sickness, you have because of this and this and that, and in order for you to get cured, you need to take this and that medicine, you need to do this or that therapy. He can even do one therapy for us. Or he will tell you need to change the behavior in a way, need to change the diet in another. He will tell you lifestyle, whatever. The doctor will give us the instructions of what we need to do to get cured. As Shantideva says in the Bodhisattva Charavatara, just by reading the instructions we don't get cured, right? So who is actually really making the process of healing? The doctor or the patients putting into practice what the doctor said? It's the patient. Because then we can have the best doctor in the world. If we do not take the medicines, if we don't follow the diet, if we don't change our behavior, if we don't do the therapies and so on, we will not get cured. So there is no doctor that has the power to heal and to cure anyone. Even the best healer. And the only thing that a doctor can do is to interact with the patients, and then, according to the action of the patient himself and his karma and everything else, he can get cured or not. So, the Guru or the Buddha is like the one that is making the diagnosis and giving the prescriptions, and then this is what's the role of a doctor. Then there is the medicine. The medicine, it has two aspects. The medicine is composed by, for example, when we go to Tibetan medicine, in order to get cured from a disease, the medicine is divided into three parts. There is the part of change of behavior and diet, which is the first step to cure a disease. Then there is taking medicine, and then there is doing therapies. Normally, we should first cure disease with the change of behavior, lifestyle, which include diet. Then after that, when we cannot cure from changing of lifestyle, then we can go through use of medicine. When use of medicine is not functioning, then we can go for therapies. Okay? Anyhow, nowadays we try to do the opposite. We want first the therapist, then maybe we take medicine, and then if nothing is working with, okay, then I change my lifestyle. Okay? But anyhow, this is another point. I'm not going to enter into this point right now. But I was just thinking about it right now. You know, we want to do the things without any effort, but it doesn't work like that. I'm sorry. Anyhow, the point is that the process of healing, it works through when I take the medicine, when I follow the therapy, when I change the lifestyle. That's when the process of healing truly starts. I can have a whole pharmacy in my house. If I don't take the right medicine, I'm not going to get cured of it. So, the process of healing, it is when I take the medicine, when I follow the advices, when I follow the prescription. Okay? The Dharma, there are the teachings that we receive. For example, this precious Dharma book. It's also Dharma because it's the instructions for our meditation, is the instructions for our way of thinking, is the instructions for our own worldview according to philosophy, and so on. The instruction for reciting your mantras and for meditation and so on. The instructions are fundamental because without instructions, I would not know what to do, how to do, and so on. So boom. It's like if I am sick and I self-medicate myself, most probably I would do something that is harmful to me because I don't know exactly what to do. Similar to that, we need someone that is telling us the way how to practice, what to do. But the actual process of healing is when I sit down and I meditate, when I reflect upon the teachings, when I apply the teachings in my daily life, when I put into practice. That's the actual Dharma. Normally we make the analogy, the Buddha is the doctor, Dharma is the medicine. But the medicine, it's only medicine when we take it. The medicine only becomes medicine when it gets in contact with the disease and it cures the disease. Otherwise, the same substance can be also poison if it goes into contact with the wrong person with the wrong symptom. So, the medicine becomes medicine when it enters in contact with the disease. When the patient that needs that medicine takes the medicine and it cures, that's when it truly becomes medicine. The Dharma becomes Dharma. Otherwise, this is just words written in a book. They become the real Dharma when I meditate upon them, when I bring them into my life, when I change myself, I make my anger less, I develop more love and compassion and bodhicitta, I develop a correct view of reality, I meditate on all of this. When I apply it to my life, that's the actual true Dharma. Okay? And the true Dharma, it goes beyond the name or the Kilupa or Nyingmapa, Kargyupa, Sakyapa or this or that, or Buddhist or not Buddhist. Because the true Dharma is the developing of love, of compassion, of wisdom, of equanimity, of generosity, of humility. That's where the true Dharma is actually happening inside of us. Okay? This doesn't mean that the rest is not Dharma. The teachings are Dharma. Just like when we take a medicine, the pill that we have, it's medicine. But it's a representative medicine. It's not full medicine. It's only becoming truly medicine when I take it and it heals me. That's when it's becoming true medicine. Otherwise, it's just a substance put there. No? Like we know quite well. Is there any medicine that if we take in a wrong way, in a wrong moment, it can become poison? Yes. So the medicine is not medicine just because it's that substance. It becomes medicine when it's taken and it counteracts the sickness and it heals the sickness. That's when it becomes real medicine. Similar to that, the teachings become real Dharma when they are put into practice and they transform the mind. They help us to eliminate our defilements and so on. That's when they become real Dharma. Otherwise, they are just concepts. Otherwise, they are just words. Okay? Similar, like a medicine, is just substances. Okay? The same words of Dharma, actually, if used in the wrong way, can even harm. It's possible to manipulate and do, and this is quite difficult, but it's possible. So it becomes the real Dharma when we actually put it into practice and when we use it and we transform our mind positively. That's the actual Dharma. Okay? So the Buddha is the one showing us the path, is the one giving us the diagnosis and the prescription. The Dharma is the instructions of the path and the actual path as we follow it. Is the prescription of the healing, the medicine that we receive, and the taking the medicine and following the prescription. That's where the Dharma is. Okay? Well, another aspect of the Dharma that is very important is that just as in the Buddha, we have the Buddha that is the one that shows us the path. But when we take refuge in the Buddha is also representing our own potential of enlightenment. Yesterday we talked a lot about this connection also. We are the one becoming the Buddha. So when I see the Buddha, it's also I can become a Buddha. It's also showing our own potential of enlightenment. When we talk about the Dharma, it's also seeing that I can get healed. The only reason why I take the medicine is because I believe that I can get cured. Otherwise, why would I take the medicine? So when we sit down and meditate, when we do our practice, it's because I believe that I can transform myself. I believe that I can develop more patience, love, compassion, wisdom, and so on. I believe that I can do it. So it's also believing in ourselves. This is also important as we talk about the Dharma. Okay? The next part that we need to understand, it's the concept of Sangha. There are different types of Sanghas. Okay? We have what we may call the ordinary Sangha. We have what is the Sangha of the Bodhisattvas. There is the Sangha of the Arhats, the fully realized beings, and so on. But on the basis, the Sangha is the spiritual community. And if we go to the metaphor, as we were looking before, the Buddha is the one that is showing us the path. The Dharma is the actual instructions and the actual path to follow. And as we follow the path, the actual path is the Dharma. The Sangha is the help and the help that we receive as we go through the path. It's like if we take the other metaphor, imagine a hospital that have very good doctors, that have wonderful medicine, but have no nurses. What happened to the hospital? Chaos. Because how good are the patients in taking medicine? Not so good. We need help. We need support. We need someone that goes there, remember us, and say, come on, here you can make it, and go and help in many, many ways. So, the nurses are like the Sangha, if we follow the same metaphor. Another aspect which brings the importance of the Sangha for us is that we are extremely influential beings. We can get very easily influenced by others. Very easily we're influenced by others. So depending on the place where we are, who is the company around us, like if we have a group of people, and then some people in this group start acting in a very violent way, it influences the others. Or we are in a group that is very peaceful, it also influences us. So, depending where we are, with whom we are, this influences ourselves. Okay? So the Sangha is the spiritual community in the sense of all the other people that are together following the same path specifically within the same lineage, to be more precise. Okay? And I believe that normally it's a difficult point for many people because we have the tendency to idealize things. So when we idealize Buddha, it's quite easy because Buddha, I never see him, I never meet, is there the Buddha, perfect for me. It's more easy to keep there. Then the Dharma also, the Dharma is very pure, is the teachings, the path. Oh, how wonderful, it's more easy to keep the idealized view. Then we get the Sangha. Then we get a pure idea of the Sangha, then someone that we think is part of us, the Sangha, come and act in a way that we don't like, and then we generalize and we say, oh, look at the Sangha, how bad it is, I saw sometimes people came to me and say, oh, for me, I take full refuge in the Buddha, full refuge in the Dharma, but the Sangha, I prefer to be away. No? This means no true understanding of what Sangha means. Okay? First of all, it's like there are different levels of Sangha. As I was saying before, there's the ordinary Sangha, which are those that are together with us. It's like if we take the metaphor. There are those that have already started the process of healing and that already got cured. So they're helping us based on their experience and so on. There are those that started the process of healing before us, so they're already some steps ahead and they can help us an example in being with us. There are those that have started together with us and those that have started after. Those that have started together and after are the so-called like ordinary Sangha, are those that are just like us, but they are very important for our process also. For example, one thing I have seen very clearly, like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, when the group of people studying Dharma was quite small in our context, some concepts, it took a long time for people to get into some concepts and to be able to do some practices and so on. It really took a long time. Then when we see nowadays, there are much more people that have that understanding and do the practices, new people come and they can have access for themselves to that knowledge and that practice. They understand it all and they're able to do much faster than the other ones before. It's not because they are more capable than the others. It's because they come in a context in which the field is much better. It's like ready to receive them. So the more we develop our understanding, the easier it will be for the others coming to develop the same understanding also. And this is something very powerful. It's something that it goes much beyond the conceptual understanding and conceptual transmission and so on. It's like, for me, one of the greatest meaning of the Sangha is this spiritual community that gives us the strength in our path, but it's not something conceptual. It's something truly deep within ourselves. It's like being part of the same spiritual family. That's why the Sangha for me is not something that is composed by being part of the same spiritual tradition, but being part of the same spiritual lineage. The tradition is a method, is a system. The lineage is the line of transmission of that knowledge and that experience. When we are part of the same line of transmission, it creates between us a link, a connection that is much stronger than the connection of blood, of being brothers, sisters, or cousins, or so on. It's really deep and strong. I have had many experiences of that. It's something that is very difficult to put into words, actually. But I was just remembering 2, 3 things. Like, one, I was just remembering our friend Fabio from Brazil. His father is sick, actually. We also dedicate for him. And he's a photographer. And then he came to Tibet with us. We invited him to come to take the pictures of the mandalas. So most of the mandalas that we have here, not all, but most of the mandalas, he took the pictures there in Tibet. And like, all the main images we have around were taken by him in the monastery of Dharma Rinpoche. So we went there with Rinpoche, but there was no time for him to take pictures because he was too busy. So we left him there for a few days. No? So there we left him in Demagonsa Monastery. No one spoke one word of English. So he was alone there at 5,000 meters with all the Tibetans taking the pictures around and so on. And he said, I think a week or something like this there. And then one day he shared with me, he had so beautiful experiences. For example, he went into the village, which was like many tents. So he went to the tents, and they looked, the Tibetans looked to him, he looked to the Tibetans there, they didn't know one word. Also because even if he knew some word of the Tibetans there, in the camp, they speak complete different dialect, no? So what he did, which was very nice, they looked to each other, and then he started reciting the prayer, which is a very specific prayer of our lineage. But the people there, they were also part of the same lineage because they were disciples of Dema Gonsa Rinpoche, who was disciple of Trijang Rinpoche. So it's like cousins somehow, no? So he started reciting these prayers, and then these people, the Tibetans, they started reciting together. You know? And then this created such a connection that he said was like one of the most deepest, like most beautiful and pure type of friendship and connection he ever felt. So then they took him like a family member, they gave him food, presents, they were together. Like it was such strong connection that was created, no? When we have many examples of this, coming from the other side. One time we went some years ago with me, with another 3 friends from the Sangha, Western Sangha. Before going to Tibet, we went to one place near Chengdu. There is one holy mountain of Samantabhadra. And some friends from Tashilumpa Monastery in Tibet came also to go together with me there. So one of them was Lakpa Wandu, which is the one that taught me astrology. And he's very much connected to our same lineage. And so we were there. And then we stayed one day. We went up the mountain walking. It was a little bit a strange idea because, well, I think, 12 kilometers or something like that. And I said, okay, that's not too much to walk, but I didn't understand that it was all going up. Anyhow, we were completely tired, but it was a very beautiful experience. And then when we came down the next day, whatever, he came to me 1-2 days after, and he said to me he said, it's one of the most special experiences I've ever experienced myself. It's this monk from Tashilumpa, and he was saying, because these Western people that are together with you, we were together. You I know since many times, since many years. We are very much friends and connected. But with them, I don't know them. I don't speak the language. But just by being together and praying together, I feel like such affection to them. I feel so connected to them, which is something that for me, it's really special. Also for Tibetans to talk about affection and this thing, it's not common also, no? Especially monks in this way. And like he was saying he was completely touched by it. Like he said, it's like if we have a friendship that we know each other for centuries, like for such a long time, no? And I was explaining to him, I said, this is because we are part of the same spiritual lineage. And he said, there is no other explanation, no? So it's very beautiful when we see someone that is part of the same spiritual family, but that we even don't know. There is a connection that goes beyond any conceptual explanation or understanding, from my point of view. So when you talk about the Sangha, it's deeply connected to this spiritual family that gives us such a strong support for our practice. It would be much, 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 much more difficult to follow a path without a spiritual community to support us. Imagine you go there, you meet one guru, you receive the teachings, beautiful, and then you are alone. No one to share, no one to help, no one to support, no one following the same path together. It's much more difficult. Also because we human beings, we are made to be in group, no? So we share things together. When there's other people doing the same, it becomes more easy for us, and like this we go on. So in this way, even I'm talking about the ordinary Sangha here. I'm not talking about the Bodhisattva Sangha, the Arhat Sangha. And it's very, very important for us. And because the Sangha is so important for our spiritual path, for example, Buddha, when explaining the 5 worst type of actions that anyone can do, there are 5 actions which we call Tsamme Gilenga, which are called the actions without without space, which means like as soon as you die, you go to a negative rebirth, because like such as this, let's say, the strongest negative actions that a person can do, negative karma. And at the same level, yes, there are negative actions in the same way. It is killing one's father, killing one's own mother, taking away blood with the intention to harm a bodhisattva, a highly spiritual, a highly realized being, killing a bodhisattva or an arhat. And then, with the same level, it is creating division in the Sangha. And the Sangha, it means the spiritual community of 4 people plus, starting with 4. Okay, originally it was like Sangha would mostly, in most contexts, would be 4 or fully ordained monks together. But it's also the 4 people that are following the path together. Okay, so why it is so negative to create a division in the Sangha? First of all, because when there is conflict and when there is division within the Sangha, this creates it puts a mine, it like poison on the spiritual path of everyone that is there. So it's taking away the most precious thing we have. So it's not for nothing that Buddha put so much emphasis into keeping the Sangha purely, because it's so important for us. It's not for nothing that Buddha said there is Buddha, there is Dharma, and there is the Sangha together. It's not like, oh, you should take refuge in the Buddha, then the Dharma is important. Oh, the Sangha is also important, but somewhere there. It's on the same level Buddha put. No? It's not for nothing that in the spirit, in the tantric vows, there's the vow of not criticizing or going into conflict, not fighting with our Vajra brothers and sisters, which are all those that have received tantric empowerment from the same guru as us. So all of us, basically. Why? Because of the importance of the Sangha. This is spiritual community, this is spiritual family. And it's such a strong connection that it makes that, for me, it's something that it's quite beyond even our blood connections that we have in this life. And it's something that is very powerful and very, very, very important. But my experience is that it is more difficult to understand the importance of the Sangha. But once we understand it, then we see that it's fundamental for us. So it's really something that we need not only to cultivate, but if we put together the Buddha is the one that is showing us the path, the Dharma is the actual path that we follow, the Sangha is the support and help that we have during our path. That is fundamental. Okay? So, we need to understand the Sangha is not like, and we can never generalize, one person doesn't act in a nice way, oh, the Sangha is like this. We need to think that the Sangha as being part of a spiritual family, which is the very most important thing for us in this way. And it's not something conceptual, it's not something in a gross level, it's something very subtle, but at the same time very, very strong for us. So with this we have the meaning of the Buddha, of the Dharma, and of the Sangha. So the Buddha is the one showing the path, the Dharma the actual path, the Sangha the was helping in the path. The Buddha is the one giving us the medicine, the Dharma is the actual medicine, the Sangha is those helping us in the process of healing. Okay? Then we have the concept of the Guru within that. The Guru is the embodiment of Buddha, of Dharma, and of Sangha. Because the Guru is the one that is there in flesh and bone, showing us the path. He's giving us the instructions. That's why he's also the Dharma. And at the same time, he's giving us the company and the support during our path. So that's why he's also the Sangha. He's part of the same family. He's also the Sangha. So that's why normally we also take refuge in the Guru, because we have the one that shows us the path. The Guru also shows us the path. He gives us the instructions and he accompanies us through the path. Okay? That's why we say that the Guru is the embodiment of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So, in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Let's see a little bit what's the meaning of taking refuge. First of all, taking refuge is not something specific from Buddhism. All of us, we take refuge every day in many things. For example, I am thirsty, I take refuge in water. I feel cold, I take refuge in a nice warm cloth. I am sad, I take refuge in a glass of whiskey. Not me, but someone may do that. Or maybe I am sad, I take refuge in a new pair of shoes. You know? We take refuge in many things all the time. Or I feel lonely, I take refuge in a friend. You know, we can take refuge constantly. And we constantly do every day. There is something that I am not comfortable with, something that I am not well with, so I ask for help into something else. So the act of taking refuge is something that we do constantly, every day. So there are here two main causes of refuge, which is very important. The words that are traditionally used, which actually are very clear, they don't fit so well to our mentality, but I'm going to use them still. Which are, the two main causes of refuge is Jikpa dan Tepa in Tibetan, which means fear and faith. So in order to take refuge, we must have fear and faith. It looks a bit strange. But what's the meaning of that? Let's understand in this context, what do we mean by fear and faith? When I am thirsty and I look for water, do I fear thirst or not? Not in the sense, I fear thirst. Actually, somehow even yes, because if I let the thirst go on and I cannot find water, what we mean by fearing thirst is, do I want to avoid thirst or not? I would say yes. Or do I want to avoid hunger? Or do I want to avoid cold or loneliness? And like this we can go on. For example, I had a problem some years ago, exactly in this Gompa here. Before the Gompa was ready, there was no heating system yet, and there was no insulation in the floor. It was quite cold, and it was one winter. Of course, I was giving practice every morning here. And I remember when doing the teachings and the practice in the morning, I was talking and there was like the vapor coming out of my mouth. It was like around 6 degrees inside here, I don't know. And the problem I had for many years was that I don't suffer cold. But this doesn't mean that it doesn't harm my body. So the fact was that after that 15 days going here every morning, early morning here and staying, like 2-3 people would come and the next day they would not be there anymore and other people would come most of the times because it was really cold in here and humid. And I was here every day, like stubborn, saying, okay, I'm there. Because I didn't suffer the cold. But this made me sick. When finished this, I was really sick with the kidneys and so on. So the point was that it's not because I was not protecting myself from the cold, because I didn't fear the cold. In the sense that I didn't suffer of the cold. I didn't see as something that I needed to avoid. So fear in this context means seeing that I need to avoid it. It's like if I am sick, but I do not recognize myself as being sick, and I do not fear my sickness, I do not wish to be free from that sickness, I'm not going to do anything to get cured. So, the first step is from what I take refuge. What do I fear? What do I take refuge from? Second step is, where do I take refuge in? I take refuge from thirst into the water. I take refuge from the cold into warm clothes. Okay? So what happens is that when we're taking refuge into something, the only reason why we take refuge into that is because we truly believe that through that help, through that object, we will be able to avoid the suffering that we don't want to have. Okay? So, otherwise I'm never going to look for water if I do not trust that water can eliminate my thirst. Okay? So this is what we call having faith. The word faith, the definition of faith in this context means to believe in the existence, in the qualities, and in the functions of something. So I believe that water exists. I believe that the water is clear, clean, pure, and that it has the function of eliminating thirst. So I go to look for water. In the context of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, what do we take refuge from? I like to explain that with a metaphor. In our life, we live like if we were in a seesaw. We call seesaw in English, right? This children game. Like, the swing is the one that goes like this, no? The seesaw is the one that is like, goes like that, no? So imagine we are in a seesaw on one side. There is someone else on the other. Okay? What happens when we go up? We are happy. Beautiful, nice. But then we are afraid to go down. When we go down, we suffer because we are down. We don't want to be down. But sooner or later, what will happen? We go up again. But when we go up, inevitably, we will go down. So we pass our whole life, very often, like when we are down, we are worried we are down, I cannot remain down, which means when we are suffering, I need to go up. Then we go through pleasures, power, money, something that distracts our mind, whatever, and then we go up again. How nice. But what's the nature of going up? Getting down. So I go up, and then when I am up, I'm already starting to worry that I'm going to go down. Then I see I'm going down. Then I go down, then I'm suffering again. Then I take refuge into something to bring me up again. And then I go down again. So normally we take refuge from the seesaw being down. We take refuge from the actual sensation of suffering. That's all. And very often we take refuge into things that gives us more suffering. Like, for example, taking refuge into substances that will create harm in our body and in our mind and in our relationships. So maybe I feel sad, the seesaw is down, I take a glass of whiskey, I feel better, but then after I have the side effects, and after this create dependence, and after I have problems with my family and my friends, and I start acting in a way that is not natural, and blah, 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 and so on. So the same thing that brings me up, pushes me down. Okay? So the fact is that we need to be careful not to take refuge into things that not only do not able to keep us truly up, but also they bring us down. So the difference here is that when we talk about taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we don't take refuge from the seesaw being down. We take refuge from being in the seesaw. I want to get out of the seesaw. Because I recognize that when I am up on where I am down, they are of the same nature. When I get up, inevitably I will go down. So it's like, I want to get out of the seesaw. I want to stop playing. I'm not going to play this game anymore. So we take refuge from suffering and the causes of suffering. I want to take refuge from anger, from jealousy, from fear, from miserliness, from selfishness, from ignorance. I want to take refuge from samsara. To be precise, we take refuge from the suffering of change, the all-pervasive suffering. When the seesaw is down, is the suffering of suffering. When the seesaw is up, is the suffering of change. The whole seesaw is the whole pervasive suffering. So when we take refuge in the three jewels, we take refuge from what? From suffering as a whole. And the causes of suffering. I don't want anymore to be in this selfish attitude of attraction and aversion and this game of anger and jealousy and fear and pride and attachment and desire and insatisfaction. I'm too tired of all of this. I want to remain in a state of peace, of joy, of well-being, independently of the conditions in which I am. Can any material thing Can any state of pleasure of the body, can any material thing, can any state of power or influence or anything like this, can any one of this brings us this state of peace and joy? Can any one of this protect us truly from suffering and the cause of suffering or not? No. So what is the only thing that can truly protect us from suffering? That which brings us to eliminate the causes of suffering and to develop the antidotes. That's why I take refuge in the Buddha, because he's the one that have already done that path. And he can show me how to do it also. I take the effective refuge is I take refuge in the Dharma, because the Dharma is the actual path of eliminating the causes of suffering and developing the antidotes, which are my qualities of well-being. I take refuge in the Sangha, which is the spiritual company that helped me in this process. So I take refuge from suffering as a whole and the causes of suffering, where I take refuge in that can truly help me to get out of suffering. In a long term, not in a short term. It's not useful enough to get out of suffering for a few seconds and after be back again into it. I don't want to get this nice ride that I go up and then after I need to go down again. I just want to be stable. So the only one that can help me with that are the so-called 3 jewels. And we call the word jewel, which in Tibetan is kunchok. Kun means rare, precious, rare. Chok means excellent. The most excellent within those things that are rare. So, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, they are precious because through them we can reach our main goal, which is that of being happy and eliminating our suffering. So I ask for help. Taking refuge is a way of asking help. And it's so important to ask for help, because if we do not ask, we cannot receive. Have we ever tried helping someone that didn't want our help? It's useless, right? Or someone that, if there are sometimes we try to help someone, the person wants to receive help but doesn't want to help himself. This is also happening a lot. It also doesn't work at all. So when we take refuge, we say, please Guru Buddha, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and the Guru, embodiment of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, you that show me the path that I will follow as a spiritual company during my path, please help me. I rely upon you. Please help me so that I will follow the path. The Buddha we called Kyabdom Papo, the one that gives us the refuge. The Dharma, Kyabmo, the actual refuge. The Sangha, Kyabdrubedatro, the help for the refuge, to realize the refuge. It's like if I need to go into a warm place, I am in the mountain with a lot of snow and I need to go into a warm place. There is the owner of the place that let me go inside and show me how to go in. This is the one giving me the refuge. The actual house where I can go in is the actual refuge. And those that are helping me inside to keep me warm and show me how to be there and so on are the helpers in the refuge. All of them are important, but the actual refuge is the Dharma. Because if the owners say, yes, please come in, here's the way how you can go in, and everybody from inside saying, come, and we stay outside just waiting, it's not working. So the Buddha is the one that shows us the path. The Dharma is the actual path as we walk through it. We follow the instructions and we walk through it. The Sangha is the community that is helping us as we go through it, the company during our path. And the Guru is the embodiment, because the Guru shows us the path, gives us the instructions, and supports us and gives us company during our path. So this is why we take refuge. The more I ask for help, the more I receive. But remember, it's not asking for help in a passive way, like, oh, do something for me. Show me the path because I need to walk with my legs. And that's what is making the big difference in it. Okay? So this is when we take refuge and we say in the prayer, in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. We take refuge until enlightenment, which means until I do not eliminate completely every mental defilement, Until I do not develop my qualities to their maximum potential, please help me. Once I have done that, then I am there to help others. I am there ready to give refuge. I have nothing to fear anymore. Until that moment, please help me. So I rely upon you. I'm here to follow the path. What defines if we are a Buddhist practitioner or not, which means what defines if we are following the path that Buddha taught us or not, is if we deeply take refuge or not in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. It's not obvious, but it's fundamental. And taking refuge is not something that we do when we make our meditation and then it's finished. Taking refuge is something that must be present at every aspect of our life. It becomes the most important thing of our life, which is to follow the path to enlightenment. Sure, we need to work, we need to relate to our friends and family, we need to have fun and whatever, okay? Take care of the body, that's all fine. But these are all just simply parts of a life where the main goal becomes truly to follow the path that is given to us and to give company to others, to help others on the path. And another thing, when we take refuge, there are two types of refuge. Gui Kemdru and Dribu Kemdru. The refuge of cause and the refuge of result. Or the cause refuge and resultant refuge. The refuge of cause is when I take refuge in the Buddha that shows me the path. I take refuge in the Dharma, the path to follow. I take refuge in the Sangha, the spiritual company during my path. Then we have the refuge of result, which is very important also, which is I take refuge in the Buddha that I one day will become, which means I take refuge in my own potential of enlightenment. I take refuge in the Dharma, the pure state of mind that one day I will develop, the complete path realized that I will develop, and which means I also take refuge in my daily, constant spiritual practice, my own potential to practice and realize the path. I take refuge in the Sangha that I will become, the perfect company for others that I will become. I take refuge in my own ability since this moment to help and guide others also, to be a company for others also, since this moment. So this is the resultant refuge that we make. Normally when we make the prayer of refuge, first we do Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, then after we do Sangye Chodan Sogye Chonamla. The first time is that we take refuge of the cause. The second time we take the refuge of the result. So when we make Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, I take refuge in the Buddha that shows me the path. I take refuge in the Dharma that is the path to follow. I take refuge in the Sangha that is spiritual company during my path, in order for me to be free from the suffering and the causes of suffering. When we do normally the prayer Sangye Chodan Sogye Chonamla, Janju Bardo Dani Kepsuchi, in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge into enlightenment. We are taking the resultant refuge, which is I take refuge in the Buddha that I will become in my own potential of enlightenment. I take refuge in the Dharma that I will develop in my own spiritual path. I take refuge in the Sangha that I will become in my own ability to help others. Okay. So this is this part. And tomorrow we will see, through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. What's the meaning of this next part of the practice? Okay? Jetsun lame kutse rapten chin namkar chinle chochur gepadang losan tempe dreme sasumgi drove ta yura chi nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan delekshin ninsen takto delekpe Concho sumge jingelo, concho sumge ngodrutso, trashi sho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. Oma hun temba lame Sangha Rinpoche, Gyoba lame Tamcho Rinpoche, Dremba lame Gendu Rinpoche, Kyamne Kuncho Sumla Chopa Bul. Oma hum, Oma hum, Oma.